First started sailing probably when I was about 5 or 6 down Salcombe in Devon. My father would gather myself and my mother up and plonk us in a little rowing boat, and we'd row all the way out to his little 36-foot yacht he had, and that was wet and cold and miserable. And I was stuck in a great big life jacket and the type of waterproofs and everything else, and I wouldn't last for too long because Mother would always get upset and go drag us back home again, much to my father's disgust why they couldn't put up with this. And then as I moved into dinghies and faster toppers and blazers and things became a lot more fun. I think that's basically where children have a lot more fun, in the smaller boats, and then move on to yachts later. I think us, as we're older, we thought, why aren't our children in these 30-foot boats or 25-foot boats sailing around? It's because they don't go fast and they're not that much fun for them. I think dinghies and blazers and toppers and such like are great fun when you do. Other kids around in there, you spend half your time falling out of them and getting back in again. That's great fun. And then from that you can move on and start getting more serious into bigger boats. But I really enjoyed my younger times playing around in small dinghies. In fact, I still do. The highest sailing honour I achieved would be to the honour of sailing and racing on any of these J classes. It's been an honour just to be on board them. To actually, the honours achieved by racing would be the ones we've achieved on Ranger. In Newport, winning the J-Class regatta there, and again in Falmouth, winning a J-Class regatta there, and the numerous Maxi Worlds and Antigua Race Weeks, etc. we've won over the years. Most memorable sailing activity I have is probably coming up the bay in Newport, Rhode Island last year, where we had Valsheda and Ranger just exchanging tacks continuously all the way up Newport Harbour, one after the other, couldn't get past each other. And also a few more of those days as well up in Newport, where we were sailing past Castle Hill, very, very close racing, and very intense trying to get past each other, but very, very memorable that part. First experience of them was with Valsheda, and Singapore aboard Valsheda many years ago. Was the first time I got on board J-Class and was to get involved. My favourite water to go racing in would probably be Sardinia. Just as you get the wind and it's flat, and you're going up Bomb Alley, and it's all the boats very close together. You can also get out of the Bonifacio Straits where there's more wind. Lots of intricate manoeuvres and lots of very rocky coastline. It's a pretty place to go racing as well. During a race, I never really relax. There may be a sit down for a minute, or maybe try and shove a sandwich down, but no real time to sort of sit and relax. When I'm sailing, I relax depending where I am in the world. In Newport, we used to play polo a lot. In Caribbean, we go kite surfing a lot. In England, I go fly fishing. And when I'm not doing that, I'm playing with my small child, which is obviously not so relaxing, but it's good fun. Yes, a wife and child, and another one arriving in about 6 weeks' time. So it's going to be a proper family. They're tearing around all over the place. Home is Lymington, Hampshire. That's where our base is. My wife worked in the industry for about 15 years as a chef on a boat, so she understands the intricacies of how the boating life works, and also she has rather a lot of friends in Mallorca and in Antigua and in Newport and wherever we go on a boat. She tends to have friends based there, so is very willing to actually come out for a little holiday in Antigua for 3 or 4 months. So she doesn't mind that at all, or Mallorca, or last year we were in Rhode Island, Newport, for a long period of time, so she came out there for 3 months. If I couldn't sail, I'm not sure what I would do, to be honest. Probably property development of some kind, which a lot of people in yachts seem to get into, because it happens to be something that wherever we go, we have a house, we buy a house there, we have time, we're sitting there over the winter, we've done it up, and we all seem to think that is quite a good way of something to get into, but I'm not quite sure what I would do, to be honest. First job when I left school would have been working at the Island Cruising Club in Salcombe in Devon, teaching sailing. My first job when I was at school was building dry stone walls on Dartmoor, which was a bit sort of out of the way, but yeah, the first proper job would have been working there at the Island Cruising Club, teaching sailing, and becoming an RWA instructor, then an RWA senior instructor, etc. There are 8 permanent crew on Ranger, and they're there 24/7, every day of the week. There's somebody on watch, and there's a full workforce all the time. It takes 8 people to keep it going. Top out at 40, but usually around 32 to 35 is the number we would normally be racing with. Sometimes we can get a few more. It can get quite crowded, but too many people in the way sometimes. If not, everybody's not got a specific job. But when it comes down to it, 32 is probably a pretty good number to be racing with. In the race crew, we selected to be in the race crew. Most of our race crew have been with us for 5 years longer. They've all come from the background of the America's Cup or Volvo, Whitbread, and other sorts of racing, but generally it's the Volvo, Whitbread or America's Cup sailors. But they've all been as a team, and they've all known each other for many years. So I've been on Ranger for nearly 5 years, and I'm the new guy, as it were. As they've all known each other nearly all their lives, and it makes for a good team, not just having raced together, but known each other. And they've all raced together on other boats in the past, America's boats, Volvo boats, and Whitbread boats, some of them, that's their age. So they know, it's a sort of a feeling, they know each other and what they're doing, so that helps a lot. Ranger's been up for charter, but nobody's chartered Ranger as yet for a private cruise. We've had a few inquiries. Quite often get asked that question, but the owner has not yet had anybody charter, no. We have a computer tablet which runs through Wi-Fi through a laptop that's running a program we use called Expedition, and that has predicted angles and waypoints put in for marks and buoys, etc. And it'll give you the angle to sail, the angle you'll need to tack at to make that. But the people that are sailing have got very, very good gut reaction. We have Earl Williams that drives the boat most of the time. Brad Butterworth is our tactician, and these guys are the top of their game. Our navigator, Mike Quilter, operates that tablet. As he's quite often puts the tablet down and gets up, looks up, and says, "We need to go that way," or "That's the angle we're tacking at." So it's a lot of it's done navigation of the tablet, but that's it. That's the only real navigation. The wind and the instruments we use for the B&G units we have, a lot relies on those. We need to know exactly where the wind's coming from, exactly what degree we're driving at. We've got mast goes up 180. We need to know what the difference is, the wind at the top, where the unit is, where the wand is, as to where the wind is further down the mast, because that's where the centre of effort is. So there's calculations that unit does for us. So we've got in the region of 13 to 14 B&G units showing us data all the time of wind angles and backstay or forestay pressures, etc. So quite a lot of it relies on that. But the actual judgment of let's tack underneath this guy or let's lee bow this guy is very much a human decision. The captain's always in charge of the boat. The race crew may come on, and we have a gentleman that helms the boat, a professional helmsman. I helmed a bit in port. He's when we had different ruling, and Earl now drives the boat pretty much. The owner drives sometimes, but not that much. Other J's are slightly different. Their owners drive a bit more, depending on their situation. But I'm always in charge of the boat. The captain is always in charge of the boat. For a Ranger, we like a little bit more wind. We're a little bit heavier, and a little bit more wind is better for us. I know Balshida is better in lighter wind. Sub 12 knots, Balshida gets a little bit of an advantage. I think the Pacific has got to be one of the finest places to go sailing. I mean, it's the most unbelievable islands and beaches, and trade winds blowing right across. So you can start at one end of the Pacific and 6 months later have never really changed. You can sail right across it in one go. And for the actual sailing-wise, the British Virgin Islands are just an unbelievable place. People say, oh, they're too crowded, etc. But there aren't many places you can go for 20 minutes or 2 hours in relatively flat water and have a bar at the end of it every time.